Have you ever heard a story that just sticks with you? This is one of those. It's an absolutely incredible tale of survival, but more than that, it forces every single one of us to look in the mirror and ask a really tough question. No, I mean really, take a second and think about it. What would you do to survive? When you're backed into a corner, I mean truly with no way out, what do you think you're really capable of when everything is on the line? Well, Aron Ralston, he had to find out the hard way. And his answer, wow, it's just this staggering testament to the power of the human will. But to even begin to wrap our heads around the choice he made, we've got to understand who he was before all this happened. Yeah, so let's dig into that. Who exactly was the guy who walked into that canyon? So who was Aron Ralston? He was this really interesting paradox. On one side, you've got this super smart Carnegie Mellon educated mechanical engineer, a guy with a corporate job at Intel. But on the other side, he was a total adventurer. He literally walked away from that stable career to chase the thrill of the outdoors. And we're not talking about a casual weekend hiker here. This guy was a serious alpinist. He loved the risk, and he actually preferred going on these expeditions completely by himself for the freedom and the challenge. And this quote, it just nails his entire mindset, doesn't it? He deliberately went looking for challenges that would push him right to his limits. For him, danger wasn't something to run from. It was part of the fun. It was the whole point. That feeling of being on the edge, relying only on yourself, that's what he lived for.
And it's that very mindset, that love of the edge, that led him into the Utah wilderness, all alone. And that's where a single moment would change his entire world.
Okay, so picture this. April 2003. He's on a solo trip deep inside Blue John Canyon, Utah. This place is stunningly beautiful, but it is remote, like seriously isolated. And it does not mess around. The perfect kind of place for a guy like Aron Ralston. But here's the thing. Even the pros make mistakes. And his were, well, they were critical. First off, he went alone, which was his thing. Fine. But the big one? He didn't tell a single person where he was going. Not his family, not his friends. No one knew his exact plans. And on top of that, he packed super light. He had a cheap, kind of flimsy multi-tool, not much food, and get this. Only 350 milliliters of water. That's like less than a can of soda. So there he is, making his way down a narrow slot in the canyon. It's a pretty routine move, something he's done 100 times before. Just another day out in the wild. And then, in just one moment, an 800-pound boulder that's almost 360 kilograms just shifts. No warning, no sound, it just happens. And that one moment changed everything. Instantly, his right arm is just crushed and pinned tight against the canyon wall. He's trapped. He's totally alone. And the worst part? Nobody even knows where to start looking for him. And what happens next? Man, it's 5 days of just absolute hell. A physical and mental ordeal that's almost impossible for us to even imagine. So let's walk through it. On day one, it's all about shock, panic, and just trying desperately to move this massive rock. Spoiler, it doesn't budge. By day 3, the water is gone. He's so dehydrated, he starts drinking his own urine just to stay alive. Then you get to day 5. He's given up. He figures this is it. So he carves his own epitaph into the canyon wall and records these heartbreaking goodbye messages to his family on his little video camera. He's ready to die. But then something happens. Right on the brink, he has this incredibly vivid vision of a little boy, a future son he's never met. And it's like a switch flips. Suddenly, he has a reason to live, a powerful. I mean, can you imagine this psychological battle going on in his head? It was this relentless cycle of fear and just soul-crushing despair. There was a little bit of hope in there, sure, but it was getting drowned out. And as the dehydration got worse and worse, he started hallucinating. The line between what was real and what wasn't just started to dissolve. And this brings us to the part of the story that is, honestly, it's just so hard to get your head around. His body is failing, his mind is playing tricks on him, but he makes a shift. He stops waiting for death and decides to take control of his own life in the most extreme way possible.
Think about it. He tried everything. That cheap multi-tool, it was useless against the rock, just chipping away tiny flakes. Yelling for help, nobody was around for miles. Waiting for a rescue party that didn't even know he was missing, that was a complete fantasy. He was left with 2 choices, lie there and die, or do something unthinkable.
And that's when he has this revelation. This moment of absolutely chilling clarity. He knew his dull little blade could never cut through bone. It just wasn't possible. But then it hit him. What if he didn't have to cut through the bone? He realized he could use his body weight and the boulder itself to literally break his own arm bones. And once they were broken, then the blade could do the rest. All of a sudden, the impossible became a horrifying but very real plan.
And what's just mind-blowing is how he did it. This wasn't some wild, panicked hack job. It was a procedure. His engineer brain completely took over. Step 1, he used his climbing gear to make a tourniquet to stop himself from bleeding out. Step 2, he braced himself and did the unimaginable. He broke both bones in his forearm, the radius and the ulna. Snap. Step 3, he spent the next hour methodically cutting through the skin, the muscle, the tendons, everything with that dull blade. And after all that, he was free.
But listen, getting free from the boulder, that wasn't the end of it. Not even close. You could argue that what he did next is almost as unbelievable as the amputation.
Okay, so he's finally free, he's got one arm, he's bleeding, he's dangerously dehydrated, and what does he do? He rappels 65 feet down a cliff face, one-handed, then he starts hiking for miles in the desert sun, losing blood the whole time. It's only by some miracle that he runs into a family of hikers. They give him water and call for help. The whole nightmare finally ends when he hears the whir of a rescue helicopter. And that's where his story really takes on a new life. He didn't just survive this horrific thing and then fade away. No, he transformed it into a legacy. He wrote a best-selling book, Between a Rock and a Hard Place, which of course became the movie 127 Hours. He took this private hell and turned himself into this global symbol of what it means to be resilient.
And get this, the accident didn't stop him. You'd think he'd never want to see a mountain again, right? Wrong. He got a custom prosthetic arm and went right back to climbing. In fact, he became the first person ever to climb all 59 of Colorado's highest mountains, the 14ers, by himself. In winter! It's just absolutely incredible.
And this right here, this quote, just says it all perfectly. His story became less about a climber who lost an arm and more about the power that we all have inside us, the capacity to endure, to adapt, and to even thrive after something terrible happens. It's a universal story. So that brings us right back to where we started. Aron Ralston's ordeal is this incredibly powerful metaphor, isn't it? We all have boulders in our lives, problems or challenges that feel absolutely crushing, like there's no way out. His story pushes past just asking what you would do to survive. It leaves us with a much bigger question. What are you willing to do to truly live?